All right, so this is my longer format video of the first impressions for the Glock Gen 6. So, first, I got this by paying full price for it. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I picked it up at GT Distributors. They have commercial and blue label guns, and there is a big line for blue label guns, so I paid full price for this like it's 2008. Um, what I did afterwards is I went to the range, I met a friend, and we shot about 200, 250 rounds through this. And uh, this is going to be my first impressions of it. 250 rounds is not a whole lot, but there's some things that I personally would like to talk about for this Glock Gen 6 that make a difference between Gen 5s. So, real quick for me, if you don't know my channel, I shoot a lot and I typically prefer traditional double action pistols. But I like all God's children and I like shooting every gun. I have achieved excellence with Glock Gen 5s. I'm a Glock master. I've got a black belt patch from Scott Jedlinski with a stock Glock 19 with the KOA. I have a black belt patch from the Complete Combatant with a modified, actually it's right here, my bore sight gun here. I like Glocks. So some of the differences, so I think I am a bit of an authority when speaking to Glocks directly. So some of the differences that jumped out to me immediately are the texture and the way that the grip is shaped. So if you look at this texture, if you look at my phone camera, this texture is, it's like their RTF2 texture, but better. Um, there is a difference between designing guns for a shooter and designing guns for the general public. So shooters like very rough textured guns. For example, two of my favorite Glocks are custom Glocks. Number one is this Glock, this Sage Dynamics version from Agency Arms, which I won and I liked and I actually shot a lot of. And then two, my bore sight gun, which I paid full price for, very expensive, very nice. And I really like the textures for both. For the bore sight one, which I spec'd out myself, I chose the roughest texture. Um, and for the agency arms, which I got used and then put about 6,000 rounds on it, and friends shot it as well, the texture is extremely harsh, it's extremely high, and I love it. The rougher the texture, the easier it is to shoot. Sometimes it gets in the way of carry. So Glock did a really good job to sell a rougher texture to the public. Because if you have something that feels like glass shards, regular people are not going to buy it. And this Glock kind of like finessed it and did a really good job with this Gen 6 texture. Let me fix my lighting for y'all so you can actually see it. There we go. So the number two thing that really jumped out is the contouring of the grip. If you follow my channel, you're probably a little more tuned in. If not, don't worry, we'll get you up to speed. But one thing that really bugs me whenever gun reviewers review a gun is when they just read the entire paragraph of the website. It's like, dude, I can do that myself. So one thing that the paragraph doesn't really talk about so much is the contouring of this front strap. I have a Glock 47 oh, here it is. Glock 47 here. And this is a Gen 5 stock 47. This is a Gen 5 Glock 17. Gen 6, excuse me. And maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. But on the Gen 5, this front strap is much, much, much more broad. So if you are very used to if you know your grip and you know which pressures you need to place and where you need to place them for Gen 5, or Gen 3, Gen 2, or even Gen 1, if you're still rocking a Gen 1 in 2025, your grip is going to have to change because of this subtle rounding here. The palm swells are great, and I really like them. I love palm swells on my other guns, and they do help out here, but the main factor is the contouring and roundness of this grip. Yes, you still have the Glock angle, but the way that it fits my hands makes it feel completely like a different gun. One thing too, and this is a bit of nuance you won't get anywhere else, in a previous discussion last year with some high-level shooters, they said that they really, really prefer the flatness of the Glock because you know your grip cue is set. A grip cue is like when you place your hand somewhere on the gun and you can feel a certain part of it, you know your grip is set. This might be a silly example, but let's say you're coming home and you press your key into the lock. You know you're able to turn the key when it gets to a certain like depth inside that lock. You've opened your door hopefully hundreds if not thousands of times, so you know how to use your lock and your key, or your key and your lock. Same way is with your gun. So the great thing about the Glock, the flatness of the sides here, is that when you set your grip, and for my grip, I rely on a lot of this back pressure here near the back of it, you know it's set. When it's wrong, your hand, and like if you set it incorrectly, your hand's going to start sliding and do weird, goofy things. Even with a rough textured Glock like this bore sight, if you place your hand in the wrong area, your hand's going to slide. The difference between that, which is, so like the flatness is a good thing because it helps you know for a fact when your grip is set. If your grip is set, then go shoot. A negative aspect about palm swells is that you can kind of cheat that. You can get a grip here, it's really good. You can get a grip here, it's really good. And by here, I mean like you can get a grip here and it will, your hands will not move. You can get your grip here and your hands will not move. Now, some of you are saying, hey, that's great. You place your hands somewhere else on the pistol and it doesn't move. The nuance for that is you want your hands to be set every single time. If you have lazy practice, such as dry fire you're not paying attention to, and you kind of just place your hands like, hey, I'm going to place my hand here versus here versus here, your hand's not going to move, which is a good thing. But then if you practice incorrectly, you're going to get non-predictive shooting, or your outcomes are not going to be predictable. That's a better way to say that. So there's pros and cons to the palm swell. I personally like it. On my other guns, I put palm swell grips. For this Glock, the jury, well, me, is still out on whether I like the palm swells. I like it for now. We'll see how I like it later. Currently, one of the big changes people are discussing is the beaver tail. So for me, I get extremely high up on the grip. For example, if I was shooting this 47 a lot, I would get like way, way high up to the point, and this is kind of a goofy angle, to the point where sometimes I just get nicked a whole lot in the thumb, and that's just what I accept it. I don't put the Glock beaver tails on because I actually like the Glock angle. I just live with it. That's me. You don't have to make that choice. But with this beaver tail, it actually protects my hands a whole lot. I get so high up on other guns, like I even get bit by Berettas, which is extremely high up grip. So for this, it was really hard for me to get bit, and in 250 rounds, I didn't get bit once, which is actually pretty crazy. Pretty crazy in good execution. One thing that some people are bemoaning the fact for this beaver tail is that they can't draw the pistol. So typically for like appendix, when you draw, the gun's holding down here, you come down on the gun like this, and your thumb will go on the back plate. Well, for me, I have a couple black belt patches from the Modern Samurai project, one with a gun with a beaver tail, a PX4, and a Glock 19, which does not. And for me, the way that I adjust beaver tails, it depends on the beaver tail. For this Glock, I would actually come down on the beaver tail itself. So I would come down on the beaver tail hard. Sorry, it's really hard to angle it like this, to where the base of my thumb actually hits the beaver tail. And then before my hands come together in a Mary position, my thumb just folds over like this. Depending on your hand size and where exactly you store your gun or where you carry your gun appendix, you can kind of go for a left, more biased position like this. For me, when I was practicing some draws, I was just hitting the beaver tail and folding over. Let's see. I'll just try to do some slow motion. Fold. Yep. So that's me currently. Depending on how much I practice with this gun, I might not like the beaver tail. Currently, I am actually a big fan of it, and it hasn't slowed me down a whole lot. This is a small nerd thing. The magazine button here, the magazine release. It's the rounded one, which I think is the FBI one. Will that make you a better shooter? I don't know, but it's kind of a neat fact. Like the regular Glock 47 is 90 degrees, so that's kind of neat. The thumb ledges I don't use, and I actually recommend against because, personally for me, all my grip comes from this back here. My thumbs don't do anything. If I use a thumb ledge, for me personally, if I press into this, that separates the important part of the gun, which is here. Let's see. This separates my hand from this area, which is unacceptable. The point of placing my grip on the gun is not to defeat recoil, it's not to defeat muzzle rise, it's to make the gun predictable. And all of my energy, all of my info into the gun is here in this back. One thing I love about the thumb rest, it is an excellent index register position for your finger. I love it. It's incredible. It's tactile. It kind of blocks it a little bit. Previously, I used to touch this, the takedown lever, or sometimes if in a weird position, touch the. Oh, you're gonna make fun of me for this. This hole where the brass comes out of. A little bit late today, but this is an excellent register position, and I love that. Plus, it makes the gun look cool, which cool is actually a factor. The cooler your gun is, the more you'll practice with it. Currently, as it stands, I don't know how the red dot system is going to work out. I prefer pistol mounted optics. But the actual, give me 1 second, let me get them. The actual plates are interesting. This is your plate. It's not a plate, it's more like a washer. It's plastic. It's interesting. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't have the engineering background or experience in that type of mounting to tell you it's going to not work or work. I'm going to put it on and we'll see if it works. I have had I've had good results with previous aftermarket plates for the Glock. I've had one MOS plate fail, and I just never used the MOS plate again. We'll see. So currently as it stands, the trigger is a flat trigger, which is neat. I got nothing else to say about it. I like stock Glock Gen 5 triggers. I need more trigger time to tell you about this because 250 rounds is not a lot. This is already a long video. If you made it all the way through this, thank you for watching. I'll do the YouTube thing. Consider subscribing and share with your friends. Blah, 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 blah. But so far, I've liked this Gen 6 Glock. I'm finding it fun to shoot. But like everything else, it's a Glock. It's probably going to work well. It's nice to see them doing a little bit of innovation compared to what they did in the past. The contouring of the grip is actually pretty big, and the beaver tail and the conjunction of it with the higher middle knuckle area is going to be interesting. For a lot of people, they're not going to shoot their guns anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it's cool to see that Glock is trying to stay a little more relevant when other guns, striker-fired guns in particular, are making leaps and strides. It's cool to see Glock changing from this 47 or just a regular system, like a regular gun, to something that looks at least a little different with some nuances that I generally appreciate. That's my long formats for my first impressions. We'll see how much I shoot this gun. I'm currently on a Beretta kick. Probably will be on a Beretta kick for a while. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. And I look forward to shooting this cool gun. Thanks.